been telling me it has been 17. That's right, 17 degrees where he lives in the UK. May I add, he doesn't live abroad. Go on, Reece. Has it been 17 degrees?
Yeah, the day before yesterday it was 16 degrees, and yesterday it was 17. Genuinely, everyone had their windows open. We put our washing out and literally dried in 2 hours. It was lovely. It literally dried so quickly. It was so sunny. I think it's raining right now, so it's probably a bad example. But and it's literally gone back down to it's 11 degrees right now, to be fair, and it's 9 p.m. nearly. So I'd say that's still pretty decent. But it does go down to like 9 or 10 this weekend, and then evens out at 10 next week. But we had 2 days of it being actually like quite warm. I hated it. I was up in the day for once, and it was annoying, but it was very warm.
I can't believe that. Basically, we've had this conversation because I was just saying, can you hear the rain through my microphone? I've got a window directly behind my monitors, and it is lashing it down outside. It has been like, it's rained definitely for 40 days and 40 nights. So if you have, if you're on YouTube and you see a new YouTube channel with me building an ark, you know why. It's horrible here. And do you know what? Admission here. I have become a parent that wears a dry robe to football matches. And this is something that has become a bit of a given joke between all the parents every single time I turn up for training or matches or whatever. But I'm past it now. I've accepted my fate and I love it. I love my dry robe. I don't wear it on the daily, but when I'm stood out there and it is pouring it down and everyone else is complaining and I'm inside my lovely fleece lined jacket. Oh, it's perfect. It's beautiful. So I'll be honest. I am that dad now. I am that dad. Never mind. Should we talk about what's been going on? Because there's been a couple of little things going on this last week since we chatted. And I think maybe we should start with the last game.
For once, this is the first time I think we're doing a podcast where there's actually only been one game, because usually we do it. There's like 2 or 3, and we talk about the first one, and like, oh my god, there's a game before that, and then it's like there's so much stuff to talk about. But we actually just have one game to talk about, and it's actually been so lovely to just have. I mean, after the result, I wouldn't be saying the same if it went some other way, but great result, and then a week off where we don't have to play Wolves on Wednesday and get really frustrated, or Brentford on Thursday and get really annoyed. We just had a nice, calm week before we played Chelsea, and it was good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Tom, nice to have you, mate. Tom's just said, TDK have made me very nervous about this title race and definitely not ready. So those of you who haven't watched or listened to TDK Plus live tonight, they've done, I don't know if you saw it, Reece, Alex's Predictatron, which might be the lamest name ever for an Excel spreadsheet, but and he'll admit that openly. I know you're not a predictive man. I'm not going to hold you to prediction because I try to do it every few episodes, and every time you worm your way out of these, you're like, no, I'm just going to sit on the fence. I don't do this, but. Are you getting nervous about it? Are you starting to think about certain matches, like, say, the League Cup final, the next stage of the Champions League, or are you just kind of game to game? Because that's what I imagine you usually do.
Yeah, it's always a mix. I always say, I speak to this about my dad a lot as well, because when I did my live stream after the Wolves game, a lot of people are saying well, this is so stressful this season as an Arsenal fan. I think all of us are kind of feeling that. And a lot of people ask me, they're like, well, you make content on it. It is your life. You talk about it all the time. Surely it's a lot for you. And it definitely is. There is a lot that goes on, but you always have to be very I have to do things in my own way, because I do think sometimes it can consume you so much. I always worry. I'm not, I'd say naturally, I'm not someone that necessarily shows it, but I'm someone that probably does inherently worry quite a lot about stuff, or at least think about things going bad all the time. I would say. And I'd say going into games, when we have game day against anyone pretty much, especially in the league right now, but getting later onto these competitions, I will feel the same way about them as well. I get really nervous on the day. And that's why in the past I've had problems where I've not wanted to watch games and stuff live because I just can't deal with it sometimes. I've done a lot better recently. I did I will admit, I was actually asleep for the Tottenham game. I didn't watch it live. I
I
watched
was
it
just about to
straight
say, I'm
after.
sure it's because you're usually asleep, but there we go.
Yeah, that was not my fault. I didn't want to be asleep. I was just so tired, but I missed that game. I watched it straight after, like literally, like as it finished. But um, so like when I have stuff and when I have feelings about like the team and stuff, it's always so like I don't know, week dependent. Like everything I do matters in the moment. Like it's really hard with football, and I always think in seasons. I hate doing like I always hate having quite front up opinions and stuff because I do think I'm
Mhm.
quite willing to allow change to happen, which happens in a football season. Like a couple of weeks ago, for instance, and I'm sure we'll talk about him later, but you know, Hincapié, not good enough. Everyone's like, this guy's not good enough. He's been our best player in the last 4 games. Like, fantastic.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about great years. It's like this happens a lot with a lot of players. A lot of things happen over time, over a long season. After the Wolves game, I like I said this to people in my live stream as well. I'm never in the opinion that it's over because I'm always, even though I worry about things, I'm always cautiously optimistic about everything. I've always predicted us to win the league for the last 3 seasons. Even last year, I didn't even give up on the league until like probably like March, when I think most people with a sense would probably have given up when Saka got injured or in the start of January, where it's made a lot more sense. But I still just had that optimism about the team. And I think with this season, like the Brentford and Wolves game did make me feel a certain way where I was very worried. I think the Wolves game was the first time this season where I've been really, really worried because all season, if you ask my mates, if you ask anyone I know in real life, they'll say that I've been talking about going to the parade, doing all this stuff. Like I have actively like that. I do talk about these things openly, and a lot of people are like to me, "Oh, you can't say that. You know, I don't want to say it and get into it." I completely get that, but that's just not who I'm like. Like I just say things. I'm like, I want it to happen, so I'm just going to keep saying it. You know. I think the Tottenham game was a very like I made a tweet after the Wolves game, I think on the Friday, where I said that the Spurs game is a very, very important game because it's more about the mentality factor than I think it necessarily is the physical factor of us playing. Like I think the
Yeah.
fans needed to get the fans on their side. They needed to put a better performance in, and the best way to do that is away against Tottenham in a North London derby. Whether Tottenham might just be a bad team, which I do think they are, it's still a very important game to the fans. So you're going to get extra like benefit from that. And I got so many replies on that tweet saying Arsenal will lose, Arsenal won't win against Tottenham, and then we just absolutely thrashed them. And I was like, well, okay, yeah, cool. This is why I don't make. This is why when I'm annoyed at the Wolves result, I don't go, oh, we're not going to win anything anymore. That's it, we're screwed. That's why I don't do that because I just never believe that's true. I would
Yeah.
say that I'm more I say this to everyone. The biggest issue of Arsenal is ourselves. I'm more confident in this team getting over the edge because Man City are bad than we are going to necessarily be good, if that makes sense. I think we
Yeah.
are good. I think we play good football, and I think we have the best squad in the Europe. But I just don't know if the consistency in terms of the mentality of the team is good enough to do it. I think there is questions about the mentality of the players. I do think there's a question about the manager. Because we know how good these players are. We know they are incredible. Like Timber's another great example. People keep saying to me, "What's happened?" Well, he's tired. He's one of the best fullbacks in the world, and I'm still not going to say he's not, but he's not playing well and hasn't played well for over a month now because he's tired. So it's like these sort of things where I'm like, I would worry about, and there is definitely worries about the rotation part of Arsenal, and there is a little bit of worry there, but I'm still super confident. I've watched a lot of City this season. I'm still not overly convinced. Obviously, there's always that sort of worry where you're like, oh, are City just going to lock in? They're getting wins when they're not playing well. So does that mean they're going to get wins when they're playing well and just thrash everyone? That is a threat
Mhm.
that's there, but I also think there's other ways that can go. You just never know. I'm confident. Like I actually am confident. I know we've got to play City away. For some reason, I'm more confident against City away than I am like some of the other games we've got.
I am.
Yeah.
I feel like I put it in the comments earlier on TDK Live, and I said, I think I just have a feeling it's going to be like a 1-0 win. I don't know why. I have so much confidence in our defense in that type of game. Like, because at the end of the day, well, it depends how it looks point wise at the time. But looking at it right now, as we are on the 26th of February, I would say a draw's pretty good result. Because we should, I would hope anyway, we're going to be ahead by points at that point. If we don't drop any points to them, keep it the same, keep the advantage, great. And I think that puts another little like sting in for them, and it'll be a case of, we were at home and we still couldn't beat them. So I've got every confidence that minimum we'll get a draw there. And I just wouldn't be surprised if we just shut up shop and then
It's like the James B clip. The James B clip where we joined 0-0 and then come on, it's just us again.
I will definitely be tweeting him as soon as, if that happens, that's a tweet that's going out everywhere. I'm just sending that out again and again and again. But it's funny, isn't it? Because we know that in games like that, we are much more capable than we have previously been. Although I say that our top 6 record hasn't been as good as last year's, but even still, it's not particularly bad. And we know where we struggled. It's usually against the low blocks. And I can't imagine, I say that, but again, last time we played against Pep, he was playing, essentially 10 players behind the ball. And I've never seen a team, like not just City, Bayern Munich, Barcelona. I've never seen him go out and do that. It's crazy. But yeah, I have to wait and see now. Like, as of right now, would you say we'll win the League Cup? Because I feel it's slightly different about the League Cup final than I do with the game at the Etihad.
It's really weird. I actually would say I am quite confident. Yeah, I just, the problem is, it's just so, it's like, it's probably the big other diamond factor. It's just the mentality, isn't it? Like, City have been in these positions before. We haven't. Like, how are we going to deal with that one game, that cup final? I mean, it feels like every league game's a cup final, so they might be used to it. But I just feel like, I feel like specifically we're a really good team to counter Man City. I think when we played them at the Emirates, we were really, really, really good. We just couldn't score. And I'm not necessarily sure if we would have them issues anymore, because I actually think we're like okay when we get chances. We just don't create. It's always like we don't create or we don't score. It's always one of them. But I do think in terms of goal scoring, we can be a little bit better, especially going into that final. Like, if Havertz is fit, like touch wood, if these sort of factors are there, then I do give us a big chance. I think we are a good team against City. I think specifically, like, we could beat them, but it is just that mental part. Like, are we going to just rise to that occasion and kind of take that? Because we are the better team. And I get that. I think Arsenal, like, their players and everyone, not necessarily now, but there's always going to be this sense of, like, the players of, like, they are the underdogs because we haven't won the league. And we are, I wouldn't say we're the underdogs in terms of winning the league. I'd say most people probably would say we're the favourites. And throughout the season, I see most people would say we're the favourites as well. I know at the start of the season, people were putting us like 4th and stuff, but they're stupid. I never thought that was ever a consideration, to be honest. I always thought we were going to compete up here. So it's one of them things. It's just like, can we actually like focus in? And like players, like I'm looking at players like Gabriel, who have been quite poor recently. And I definitely think mentality wise has been a bit shaky, which is not something we often say with Gabriel. Like, he has to step up in that final. That's a game where he has, if he's there, he has to play better. So these things are going to be important. I don't know. It really could go either way. I think that I would be confident, though, going into the game. But honestly, if we lose the Carabao Cup final and win the league, I'm not going to be crying at the end of the season. Obviously, I would be a bit annoyed at the time, though. But it's just, yeah, I don't know. I still think it's valuable experience to get to the final. Even though I am sort of in the camp where I'm like, if you're going to lose in a cup, I'd rather lose in the first round. But that's always something I say. But
yeah, it's an odd one, because I think the dynamic changes as well for the League Cup final. I mean, both teams are going to be going out to win it and make a statement. And it's one of those games where you wouldn't play for a draw in a cup final unless you are by far the underdogs. Then I can understand it. Get it to penalties, like, anything could happen. But that's not the case with these teams. So I think both teams will go out and try and win it. Whereas at the Etihad in the league, the City know they cannot drop points against us. They will have to win. And that mentality shift is where the kind of, the context around the game changes. I think, like, in Europe as well, we've seen it so many times. We look incredible in Europe in every single game because the mentality and the context around every single game is completely different. Like, teams in Europe are much more happy to go forward. A lot of them aren't used to having to sit back and soak up pressure. They're not used to being the people that don't have the most possession. And suddenly when you got teams like that and it's a lot more open, look how good we are. Look at Bayern Munich. They're like the most free-flowing team in Europe. They've come up against us, and they're just hoping for long balls, essentially. That was their plan in the end. We ran over them in midfield. I think it really depends where the game is being played and when the game's being played, I guess. But like, just Tom, don't worry, mate. It's going to be all right. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I do want to kind of stay on the idea of these different competitions, because the title of this is North London is Red. But I mean, is Europe next, Woklz? Like, and I'm not going to hold you to a prediction. Are there any teams that are going to worry us? Because I think the last time we talked about this, we both said about kind of in terms of dynamics, Chelsea could be one that I kind of overlooked. Our record against other teams from the Premier League in European competition is dire. Like, we are awful when we come against Premier League teams. Would you look at the Premier League teams as the ones you want to miss, or is it like another fixture against a Bayern Munich? Is it a Barcelona who are like pretty free flowing? Is it the current holders, PSG? Like, who for you presents like the hardest challenge, or like looks like our kryptonite in that competition?
I would say that probably the teams that I look at right now that I'm like, that's going to be a pain to play, are literally Bayern Munich and all the English teams. Like every single, maybe like not Tottenham if we got Tottenham, to be honest. Like I know they had every night. They had a lot of injuries though, so I do wonder. I mean, I don't think Igor Tudor is that good, to be honest, after watching one game of him. I know it's hard to judge. He is playing Arsenal, who are a better team, but what he was trying to do, I was like,
I've got to be fair to him. When he's shouting at Van de Ven, who is completely ignoring the instructions, I did feel for him a little bit. Like, this is your first game. You're coming into North London derby, and the players are just...
But in my opinion, that's a system fault. Like, I think the problem with all that is that he was asking too much of his players, and his players were like, because I literally was watching the game back like an hour ago for one of my videos, and there was just massive opportunities in the game where like Spence is having to cover the entire pitch to get to someone. He gets there, we pass it past him. You know, Van de Ven's then got to cover out wide, and I was watching this and I was just like, they were so lost. Like Igor Tudor thinks it's a Serie A and everyone plays at snail-like pace, and I was like, he just clearly doesn't realize that you can't get a 5-back to keep running up the pitch. I felt kind of bad for some of the players, but I do agree that Van de Ven did look kind of fade. Like, he just looked like he was out of it. He didn't look like he cared. A lot of Tottenham fans have said that to me as well. I do think Tottenham will be a little bit better, maybe if we give Tudor a little bit of time, maybe. And some of their players come back from injury, because obviously, like, it is a fair shout. Left back 5 had Polinia, Gray, Spence in left wing back. Like, that is a pretty bad back 5. So like,
I love that line. When I saw that, because I did the predicted lineup, and I went through it, and I thought, oh my God. Like, I had originally predicted quite a close game, and maybe it was more like heart than my head talking. Because when I started going through it, and I thought, geez, like we are way better than them in every single aspect, let alone our manager. Like, it was going to be a tough night. Sorry, but
it's exactly what I said last week when we did the podcast. I was like, I'm a bit annoyed, because I was like, I really do think Spurs could have that sort of mentality gap on us, because we're coming off a bad result and they haven't played in 2 weeks. But I literally said in that podcast, I was like, their quality is not going to be there. Their right side of the defense, I said at the time, would be Gray and Dragusin. Little did I know they're going to play a back 5, and it's going to be Gray, Polinia, and Dragusin, which is even worse. So, like, I think Spurs are a weak team. Do I think Spurs are going to get to the semis or quarters? Because I think that's when we can play them the soonest, like semis. Maybe they definitely could. Like, it's a cup game; anything can happen. We saw that yesterday with some of the crazy results and some of the teams getting lucky. I just think the only teams I worry about is the Prem teams, because the Prem teams know more than anyone how to beat us. They've seen it. They've seen it happen more.
Yeah,
they would have played against us and got good reps against that, so they would know and understand. And everyone in the Premier League nowadays is literally playing this like mid-block / high press system all the time. There is barely many teams in the league that don't sit in a mid or low block at some point in the game and don't high press at certain times. It's actually crazy that we're at that level with the Premier League where I'm looking at like teams that are like 18th, 19th. Like Wolves were doing it, not to an amazing level, but they also were doing it. And I think that's kind of insane. Bayern are a bit of a worry. I know Bayern aren't as good as they were when they played us, but I always think like, how can you ever know? Like I say all this about, I hate PSG for this whole reason, because people will bring up all the stats and they'll be like, look at João Neves' stats compared to Rice. But look, they're playing people that look who they're playing every week. Let's be honest here. Like the stats are obviously going to be screwed when I'm watching João Neves run past an entire team and shoot from 30 yards out. It goes top corner. Oh, that's great. Yeah, but is he playing at Lorient? Like, I'm sorry. Lorient lost 7-2 to Lille. Like, and Lille are awful as well. Like, like some of these things happen and I'm just like, it's such a hard basis to judge, because I did a tweet the other day saying that I think the Bundesliga is the weakest it's ever been. I think I've been watching the Bundesliga on and off for about 10 years now. I've been watching it like consistently for the last 3 years, like nearly like a lot of games, a lot of players. And I genuinely don't think it's ever been this bad. The teams don't know how to defend, and they also do not know how to defend set pieces. It is crazy how many set piece goals are in the Bundesliga, and they're not creative routines like the Prem. They're not good routines at all. Like Serie A sometimes has some really good corners. Like Inter are good at corners, and I think genuinely it's because Çalhanoğlu is incredible at crossing the ball in. They just don't mark players. Everyone ball watches. No one pays attention. And I think the biggest evidence of that is anyone watched the Atalanta game versus Dortmund yesterday. Oh my God. Dortmund, bear in mind, Dortmund have the best defense in the Bundesliga other than Bayern Munich. They have been quoted this year of having one of the best defenses that Dortmund have had in over 8 years of their time, in a very long time, since Klopp was there, basically. And they literally couldn't defend Atalanta, and it was awful. Bassini, or whatever his name is, genuinely awful. Every single goal, I think, is his fault. I'm looking at that, and I wanted to play Dortmund because I knew we'd thrash him. And also, I'm a Sekou Guirassy hater because he scores goals, but that guy, I think he's so bad, but he scores goals. But like, whatever. I'm not gonna. I could argue about that guy for months.
It's almost a perfect storm for him there, though. If you know what I mean, like.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Bundesliga. Every attacker is like looks amazing because there's just like, because there's space forever because no one defends. But like, I just look at that stuff and I go like, how good are actually Bayern? They did do some good results in the Champions League, but they have definitely fell off in the league a little bit. You know, Elise is pretty much their hard carry, if I'm being honest, and Kane to an extent. But when you actually watch the impact at the start of the season, Kane was having a lot of impact. I don't think he is anymore. I think he's like a lot less, but he's scoring goals, so I guess it doesn't matter. A lot of their other players suck. I don't think they're very good at all. I think they're actually just kind of mid all over the place. I think the defense is also not that good generally as a unit. So it's just the Prem teams. I don't know. That's all I worry about. I worry about Liverpool. Like, people might not see Liverpool as a threat, but we've struggled against Liverpool twice now in the league. Like, we have not had a good
They've got
time
moments
against them.
players as well. You know, I think that's the other thing. But did you see the Roberto Martinez comments about Arsenal in Europe? I'll go through him. Essentially, he put that it's interesting because if you ask any of the Champions League's teams outside of the UK, everyone will tell you Arsenal look stronger than Man City. But when you understand the Premier League and you know that how the way Pep works, Man City could be also the favourites. And then he basically went on to then talk about the set pieces like you just did. And he said, with set plays, I know the UK is different, especially the Premier League. Everyone works the set plays well, but in Europe, nobody can defend a corner from Arsenal. It's the reality. And he goes on to basically say, you know, we're the problem. Everyone else in Europe is looking at Arsenal thinking, how the hell do we deal with it? Because this squad now, and what Arteta's done, like last year, it felt like it wasn't clicking. And even this year at points, it hasn't felt like it's fully clicked, especially the attack. But what has happened is, regardless of the personnel, we've got a system now, and we've got a group of players who physically are beyond any other squad. Like, if you look at, it's almost gone back to, like midfield battles. We seem to be winning midfield battles when we win them physically, rather than just, over the last decade, there's been a lot of technique. The team that can retain possession and move and rotate quite well seems to be the one that dominates the midfield. But like physically now, look at the players that we've brought in. They're all physically dominant players, like your Mascaras, your Hincapiés, Gyökeres at times. Like even Zubimendi, who is, I would say, one of our more technically adept players, he is actually very physically strong. Like his leap is really good. His ability to cover ground, like his not just the reading of play, but his actual physicality in the duel is, I think, underrated at times. We've got a team now that I don't know if many other teams in Europe can really battle us with. And it's the Premier League ones, isn't it? Like, ironically, I would probably look at Newcastle as one of the worst teams to play against, which is crazy. Like, for example, would you prefer to play PSG or Newcastle at this current moment?
PSG. I mean, even last year, I said that I would rather PSG over Villa. Obviously, that didn't go very well in the end. But that was like our problems that we had. PSG are just not like. I think a lot of these teams aren't that good, to be honest. I actually like the thing is with the Champions League, it's so hard to make like predictions and like kind of talk like this because it's like at the end of the day, it does come just down to luck a lot of the time, which people never cater into cups. Like if anyone watched Juve's game yesterday, Lloyd Kelly should have never been sent off, and I actually think they would have gone through if that didn't happen. Like these sort of like aspects do impact these little small details that can happen in games, impact it. We've seen the handball rule in the Champions League as well, where like it's so inconsistent, and you can get a bit of a fugazi handball decision, then get a pen and score, and like and all this stuff happens, and I'm like, I just like that's like I remember like Chelsea got a little bit lucky when they got an easy draw basically to the semis. I think they made Porto quite far into it, and then they got to the final, played City who are better than them, but it's a one game thing, and they just beat City because Pep overfought it and played 3 DMs or whatever he did. So it's like stuff like that. It's like you just never know. I do think though the Prem team should be making it to the final. I think it should be a Prem versus Prem team, unless we're talking like a Bayern or a Barcelona somehow just sneak in there because their attack is really good. Maybe like Real Madrid again, like they have this sort of inevitability about them still. They were awful against Benfica, I think, home and not awful, but
they really
they
were.
weren't good yesterday. They gave up so many big chances to Benfica that Benfica should have scored more. Courtois saved them. There were certain moments that saved them. And then yet again, they've got great players that score from chances that aren't really chances, like half chances they just score from, like Tuchemeni scores, from coming into the box and Gula scores. So like, I don't think it was good of Spinny in the end, but or these situations, like how lucky can you keep getting? Now, I think when teams like Real Madrid and Barca and PSG play very, very tactical teams, I think there's going to be a problem. PSG, not because of the tactics, just because I don't think they can keep up anymore, but I think the other two teams just tactically can't keep up. But I never know what's going to happen in the Champions League. These teams are threats. Honestly, if I'm being honest, like the Champions League's not something I'm particularly like thinking about too much. I am thinking more about the league, obviously the Carabao Cup final because we're in it. The Champions League would be a nice thing, and there is a certain expectation I have to get somewhat far, like semis probably. But I'm not really like, if we win the league and we go for the league, I'm not going to be sitting there being like, we have to win the Champions League. That's not an expectation or something I'm going to be looking at too much.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because previously, I'd always stood by the idea that to win the Champions League, you need a moments player, like you need a big player. Like I think, like if the Champions League was summed up with one moment, for me personally, is the Zidane finish. Everyone knows it. That is probably the best goal in the Champions League for me, anyway. But that really sums up, like, you've got this incredible team, yet one player still rises above. And previously, you always had very, very good teams, like unbelievable teams, quite frankly, with another player that can have that moment. Now, a lot of these teams who have those big players, like your Real Madrid, that's not a good team. And I think maybe you could argue we haven't got that big moments player. But what we do have is the set pieces now. we've got some kind of weapon where we have got that moment through, unfortunately, it's through dead ball situations. And that's shunned by a lot of people and looked down on by a lot of people, but it's bloody effective, let's be honest. And no one else can deal with it. Like Roberto Martinez is the one who's pointing that out. So maybe that is our big moments player. Maybe it is like a Gabriel at the back post or a Timber. And it is what it is. And I hope we can, maybe we can get Xhaka to that level, get him back to that point towards the final parts of the Champions League. Because I have to admit, he has, he hasn't been the same Xhaka as we're used to. Having said that, he's still really effective. I think
he just
did he have more touches against Tottenham in their box than Tottenham had in our box in completion.
Well, I told him barely had any touches in our box. Just genuinely, I think even Gyökeres might have had more, to be honest.
I mean, wow, let's be honest. Gyökeres could be the GOAT.
But with the, I feel like with the moments thing, to just end on that, I always feel like the conversations in terms of moments are always so like, in my opinion, recency biased made. And I also think they're like, I get that people need to see things to maybe quantify if that's an actual real thing. But I do think if it comes to a big game that Eze can score from outside the box, like easily. I think if you give Gyökeres a shot anywhere near the box, I'd be convinced that he's going to be a decent shot, at least on target.
Yeah.
Like there is these things that I do think that are a given. Like I think that, I mean, like you mentioned, set pieces is obviously one of them with Gabriel and stuff, but with anyone in the team, and even Declan Rice taking set pieces generally. So, like, I always find it, because it's like with Vinny, like, it's like with Mbappe. Like, Mbappe has a moment where he can run past an entire team and score. Maybe we don't have that exact moment, but we have enough good players to get into positions to allow our players to be good at what they are. Like, Erling Haaland is still not this like all-round GOAT, but they put him in positions to score goals, and they let him get shots, which is what he's so good at doing. If you can do that with some of the players that are good at shooting and want to shoot, like Eze, like a Gyökeres, then I do think they have the potential to be a moments in that way, a little bit more. And that's why they were signed, to be honest. They're not got the best overall play. They're not. We all knew that going into it.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think that we saw that on the weekend. But I do think overall their play on the weekend was good. But I won't care about their overall play. I don't care if Gyökeres messes up 500 passes going behind, because I know that's not what he's good at. If he scores goals, I don't care. And I think he can do that, especially in the Champions League, which we've spoken about before. There is more.
I was going to say, I wouldn't surprise me if there was a quick transition. Do you remember Torres did it? Like a quick transition, Gyökeres, like Eze flicks it on, Gyökeres runs through, scores. And then suddenly we're going, that's our wheel tour moment, in the Champions League. And I mean, that would be so ironic, wouldn't it? I would bathe in that. Like the tears from other fans that everyone talk about him playing in jeans and in Timberlands and stuff. And then suddenly you've got that moment being played over and over again.
Tottenham fans say that as well. And then he goes and dunks two on their head. Like, maybe just don't say stupid stuff.
I mean, everyone's got their, entitled to their opinion. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure I've been clipped up for saying something at some point. But this is a guy that, quite frankly, he did get the Müller Trophy. He was the top goal scorer in Europe. He scored, and he's definitely got something. Maybe he's not the next Haaland. But I don't think any Arsenal fans are actually claiming that. That's the weirdest thing. It's not, like when Liverpool bought Isak, I think the general consensus from most people was, they've won the league, it's over and done with, all tied up. And then lo and behold, he hardly plays, and they're in a far worse position now than they were last year, obviously. It's, I don't know. I hope that happens. I hope that happens. Should we go through his goals? His little was 90 minutes. He played the entire game. For you,
which is
I know, Clive from the Vision podcast. he was saying that he thinks he needs to play more minutes in terms of like he needs to play towards the end of the game. I know I've had the conversations with you on here as well, saying that he should be more of like a finisher in terms of finishing games. Do you think like if he starts now, I mean, depending on performance, obviously, if he's having a dire game, you take him off like anyone else. But if he's having like an average kind of game and it's 75 minutes, do you think actually maybe we should just keep him on? Because when tired legs go on, like, and he seems to grow into games. He doesn't seem like a fast starter in games anyway. Do you think that's worth doing? Or do you think, no, like, take the minutes out of his legs, get Jesus on? I mean, at this moment in time, we haven't got Havertz or Mourinho available, and I think that's part of the context to be kept in mind here. But do you think there's something in keeping him on for 90 minutes?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that I think that Gyökeres is better later in games just generally, and I do think he's got a better engine than most players around him, and that what he's been getting credit for. I do think he consistently still makes runs later on in the game. We're in the 95th, 96th minute against Tottenham, 4-1 up, and he's making a run to the byline and holding the ball up. Like, I just don't know anyone that's doing that. And I do think he works better in them game states. And I know that's been a criticism because I do think Arteta has brought him off maybe a little bit too early, but I get why Arteta's a little bit hesitant maybe because there is games where he has been really, really poor. And something that Kai said on the Athletic podcast was that the thing is with Gyökeres, when he's bad, he is noticeably bad, like the worst player on the pitch. Like it's not like he's like I say this about Trossard. When Trossard has a bad game, even recently he's had some like I'd say some mid games. I don't think he's been like visibly that bad. Like he's still been okay. Like he's not been the worst player on the pitch or that level of it. And like people can disagree with that, but that's how I feel. But when Gyökeres is bad, it's so noticeable. It's the same with Havertz. It's always been the same with Havertz. So Havertz was always the reason why Havertz gets criticized so much because when he is bad, you can see how bad he is. Although I don't think he was.
Do you think that's because I've never even thought about this, but do you think that's because of the job we're asking those players to do in that position? Because we don't play a game where it's like Haaland. Haaland can kind of get away with having 0 touches because we know he's probably going to score at some point if he does get a chance, or he's already built up this reputation. So while he's going through a dry spell, no one is talking about it because it's Haaland. But our centre forward has to press, has to be a facilitator, has to wear that jersey and be kind of, well, you're an Arsenal striker. Shouldn't you be keeping up with Haaland in terms of the goals charts? But like, is that part of it? Or do you think it's more a Havertz, Gyökeres thing where that's kind of how they are?
It can be a little bit based on that. I just think generally when you've got a team that everyone kind of has a lot of impact on the ball, has a lot of the ball, and then you have a guy that just never gets it, and then he gets it once and he makes a mistake. It is just evident. Like with Haaland, he gets like 11 or he gets like 14 touches a game, but they always are very impactful. Even when he's not scoring, he's very impactful player. If you look at like the Liverpool game and even the games that he didn't score before that, there is games where there's 3 or 4 players that just get drawn towards him. He'll make one touch, it'll go around him and they'll score from it. Like the Liverpool assist that he got when he headed the ball through to Bernardo Silva. That's just things that he does, Haaland, where even if he isn't like effective, he can still get a sort of goal contribution, and that's why he'll always get credit, like that sort of thing. Like it's the same thing with Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is like been pretty bad this season, but he always manages to get some sort of goal and assist, even if it is from a pen.
Couple of penalties in a game.
Yeah, so people don't really talk about it because then it's like, oh yeah, he's got goals and yeah, that's all they care about. But like if you actually watch his performances, have been pretty poor. Like I think that is a bit of it, but Gyökeres is just a clumsy player at the end of the day. Like he is just a him and Havertz are both clumsy players. They're both players that aren't technically secure. They trip over, they fall over the ball, they drag people down, they make mistakes, and they're quite visible, easy mistakes to see that anyone can see, rather than maybe like, for instance, Eze's a little bit like this, but Eze's a guy that he isn't doing well in the press. He's making a big mistake there. They've got through. You know, I don't think the average fan would really like notice that as much or remember that in the future as someone who literally they pass the ball to and he falls over it. I think with stuff like that, with when it comes to Gyökeres, he's always going to be critiqued in that way. I think that with him as well, it's just such a confidence thing, and it evidently is a confidence thing because I think in the Tottenham game he was good. I do. I think in the first half, a lot of people after because obviously I don't watch it live, but I saw a lot of people saying it was awful. I literally was watching it when I was reading tweets by people saying it was awful, and I was like, it's not that bad. I was like, I don't know if it's because my sort of emphasis on what I judge Gyökeres on is really in the floor because I've seen him have some of the worst halves I've ever seen. So like him actually cutting inside, having a shot, him having a header that almost went in, him having a good link-up play once. Maybe in my head I'm thinking, oh, that's good for Gyökeres because some halves he does absolutely nothing. So maybe that is what like I'm basing it off. But I don't think he was that bad in the first half. He weren't amazing, but I don't think he was that bad.
I think he's really up and down. The first 10 minutes, like especially before that whole communication error thing between the officials, that really annoyed me, by the way. That was absolutely disgraceful that we've gone, I don't know how, hundreds of years without any of this technology, and they're that dependent on it. No, we're going to stop the game for that long. That was crazy, especially in a derby to me, but there we go. I thought he was brilliant in that. You know, that the chance that he created for himself that you just referenced, I thought that was brilliant. The fact that he ran the channel, that he came inside, and it was completely of his own making. And that's something I don't think we've always seen with Gyökeres. But he had a little bit of a lull. Dragusin was making a little bit of a battle at one point. But as soon as he started running that left channel more, I thought, God, this is looking good. It's looking really good. And maybe some people kind of judged him on the scoreline rather than the moments that he had. Because like going in at 1-1, I think a lot of people were really unhappy with that scoreline, especially with the last game that we played as well. I think that made it worse. But I think really he was all right in the second half. Yeah, it was at times like really good to watch as well, because he's a bit clunky. He's not like it's not like watching Thierry Henry, do you know what I mean? But his work with Eze as a two, like they're starting to understand to be closer to each other. I think like, was it Eze's last goal? The one, and it comes in and he kind of holds it up, does a little flick off, and it's not the most amazing, you know, we've seen that type of play lots of times. But the fact Eze knows to go beyond him and knows he's going to be able to do that was really promising. Like I said in the past that I really want to see Kai coming back in. But at this moment in time, I think Eze's got to play the 10 for me. That we've got to try and do that more, try and stretch vertically. I know it's not going to be the same against Chelsea as it is going to be Spurs, because Spurs were, I honestly think this, not just because they're Spurs, they are the worst team we have played this season. Like, they are unbelievably bad. Like, if I was a Spurs fan, then God help me. But if I was a Spurs fan, then I just wouldn't watch the game. That is awful. Like application, just everything.
The thing is, though, that they were like, they've been good against City both games they've played. So it's not like, it might be just an Arsenal thing. I do think some teams we are.
I mean, we are that good, Reece.
I also just think we are a good counter for Tottenham. Like how they want to play. They're literally like a B team version of us. They focus on set pieces. They're trying to be physical, but they don't have that players. We are a team that don't have any carriers, barring when Rice decides to be in carry mode, which is rare when he does that. We have lots of passes. They have all carriers. They have no passes in their entire team when Romero's not there. And he's in defense anyway, and they have no midfield passes. So, like, I think with how they want to play and how they do things, it was always going to be a problem. And then when I watched the game, they're trying to do this aggressive man-to-man approach, which is so hard to implement when you've just come into a new team and you're doing it against the team that have got one of the best rotations in Europe. Like, we do have incredible rotations, which some people say we overcomplicate our rotations too much sometimes. And I do agree with that. But in this game, it worked because we could just get them where we wanted to. Like, if you look at some of the positions that Spencer's picking up and he had to, it was just painful for them. I think there's a lot of things to kind of digest with this game, because I think Gyökeres was better the second half is his best half in an Arsenal shirt by a mile. I think a
Yeah.
lot of that comes down to the fact he scored a minute into the second half. I think one of his other best halves in an Arsenal shirt is the second half against Chelsea in the first leg of the Carabao Cup. And that was because he scored early, 48th, 49th minute, and then he got an assist later and was excellent
I
in
think
that game.
Leeds as well, when he got that goal against Leeds, he suddenly started carrying and like
Yeah.
making those yeah.
And like in this
That's
game
true.
as well, some of the stats as well to look at it. We talk about Gyökeres not getting many passes, not getting many touches per game. In this game, he got 41 touches overall, which is the most he's got in an Arsenal shirt by a mile. He made 18 out of 27 passes, which I think has got to be the most he's ever made as well. He usually makes about 2 passes a game, 18. He had, I think, did he have, let me have a look. He had the exact same touches as Eberici Eze. They both had 41 touches, which for Eze is probably about where he usually gets. He usually gets about 35, 38. So this is a little bit more, but who cares? A couple of more touches, whatever. It's basically the same amount of touches. But Gyökeres clearly had a lot more impact on the game. Now, a lot of the reason for that was because it's so hard to talk about stuff in an individual game. So it's so funny you mentioned the Havertz thing, because my video, Little League, that's coming out tomorrow, which I'm editing like after this, is about why I think Havertz works in this system really well. The one we played against Tottenham, and how he should start when he comes back. Whether that means it putting Eze on the left or doing something with Eze, you can do that. That's fair. I just think, and you can also play Eze as well. I'm not saying you can't, but I think Havertz has a real big potential in this game, because we played, and everyone's gone on about it. So like, not as this isn't my suggestion, this specific thing, but everyone's kind of spoke about how in this game we played our 2 least technical fullbacks. You know, Hincapié and Timber aren't players. They are good technically, like not saying they're bad, but I think when I think of like attacking players and players that are going to really put that needle in going forward in terms of overlap, underlap, you think of White, Calafiori, Miles, much better, I would say, in different roles than Hincapié and Timber, although Hincapié has been very good at it recently. But in this game, we played them very, very deep. They played very deep and very wide. There was only a couple of times where they came on the inside channels, and that was mostly if like Saka or Trossard is going to receive the ball, you need an overlap or underlap, and they give you that option. It's all dependent on where you are, and that's more going to happen if Arsenal have a lot of pressure. There's a couple of moments in that second half, from 45th minute to the 60th, 65th minute, where we had them penned in. You know, Mascara came on and was right up in there, like right back spot, but you would see Saka with him a little bit. And then when Mascara kind of sit in the fullback spot on the wing, then Saka would come inside a bit more, but it'd be a bit more adaptable there. But what we did was like, Rice and Zubimendi sat so much more deeper than usual, and they didn't really like progress. Like one of them didn't sit in an 8 role. They basically both sat in 6 roles and kind of rotated with each other, rotated with the fullbacks, kind of moved around a lot. And then that basically made this whole like gap, because Tottenham tried to do man-to-man marking, but what we did was we pulled their players really far away and really far out wide. So we just created this massive centre gap all the time. Now, there's different moments in the game, like some Rice gets completely free. He just runs into that gap. You've got that space there. There's that one where Eze gets the ball out wide. He's got that 1-1-on-1 on the left. He takes that guy on, all that space now to run, because everyone else has been pulled so far away. But something I liked about that is that there was moments that we went down the wing, which I thought was acceptable to go down the wing, because we had players there. We had like a lot of possession. That made sense. But there was so much more emphasis on playing the ball in the middle, because we just took risks. The third goal, which you mentioned, is such a good example of that, because that's a high turnover that we get, because, I mean, Dragson's been stupid, but we have 4 players just sitting in really central areas waiting. Trossard's inside, Saka's inside. I think Trossard's a bit wide actually, but he comes inside a bit more. And there's so many different phases in the second half, especially where all 4 of our attackers came much more centrally. And there's also times where we baited for that. You know, we actually went long in this game with purpose. We didn't go long all the time. We only went long when we got pressed intently, and when the spaces were there, like that Hincapié, a brilliant pass to Saka in the first half, and Saka goes 1-on-1. That made sense. Saka had isolated his player and had the run on him, so you play it over the top. That is the best time to do it. I just think in terms of them sort of dynamics, I really see Havertz working. I really think as well, like Eze and Gyökeres' connection in this game was incredible in that second half, and how they basically just kept isolating Dragusin, and one of them would dummy for the other one every time, which was so good. There's like, obviously the one that everyone's talking about is the Gyökeres goal with Eze kind of like getting out the way for him. But there's so many moments in the second half where we put the ball quickly into Gyökeres. He, Dragsson goes up to him. He takes Dragsson on, maybe passes the ball quickly into Eze, and Eze's ran in behind or ran into the box to get a shot or get something affected. And I'm just sitting there like, I love that. I want Eze and Gyökeres to work, but we can easily do that with Havertz. And then you could put Eze on the left. And then, you've got such a creative level. I think, that is having a front four of Havertz, Gyökeres, Eze, and Saka, I genuinely think can beat, most defenses. It just has to take a lot of risks. And I really thought it was good. I really enjoyed, the sort of risk taking we took. Because there was moments as well, by the way, we had, everyone in the box. Our first goal, 9 players in the box or 8 players in the box. That's what we needed to do. So I was very impressed, to be fair.
No, and it's so nice to see different looks, because for a team that I would say over the last 2 years, well, especially 2 years ago, we seem to be able to kind of change depending on phase of play, change in terms of matches. This season, we've kind of gone in phases right now, especially with the fullbacks. At the beginning of the season, we're playing Calafiori and Timber. Right now, I think everyone agree Hincapié has to start. And I think there's a really big argument to be made that Mosquera could play against Chelsea instead of Timber. His performance was unbelievably good. And it was really nice. I know you did a video on it, mate. Really good video. Talking about especially his aggressiveness when he plays at centre-back. And I don't think he's been as aggressive at times that I thought he would be. Maybe that's been around, the club. Maybe it's been around other, amazing centre-backs, most likely the best centre-back pairing in world football right now. But I think him being at right-back affords him the opportunity to kind of play his game. He's got the engine to get up and down, up and down. I would be interested to see how he gets on, over a prolonged period in those positions out wide. Can he whip the ball in? I don't really know, because we haven't got the sample size there. But from what I've seen in terms of his progressive passing at times, when he first came in, even against Liverpool, do you remember, he suddenly came in? Saliba went down injured in the warm-up, didn't he? Of course. I think that's happened 4 times this season.
No, he got injured 3 minutes into the game.
Oh, no, yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was right at the beginning of the game. And even in that game, his ability to break the lines and really kind of push the tempo at times, he's got that within him. So I do wonder how he could look as he progresses as a right back. But we're seeing different things from this team, and it's really important that we continue to do that, because as we advance, as I'm sure Skengs V5Z would agree, we have come to the top of the Champions League right now in the league phase. We are the top of the Premiership. We are in the League Cup final. So I think it's nice that other teams are going to be kind of double guessing what are Arsenal going to do. Are they going to play a Timber at right back? Are they going to play a Mosquera? Is Hincapié going to be there? Is Calafiori going to be there and coming inside? Are we going to see Eze as the 10 or a Kai Havertz? Are we going to see kind of a 4-4-2 formation going forward? Are we going to see more of a traditional 4-3-3? What are we going to be up against? And it's nice, because the more kind of comments we get saying, oh, Arsenal terrible, Arsenal doing that, because everyone's worried. And as Roberto Martinez said, and we did at the top of this podcast, teams and managers and players are worried about Arsenal. And it's lovely, because we haven't had it in a long time. But everyone is hoping, praying that we're going to bottle it. And right now, after that 4-1 win, look at what happened on Twitter. There was a complete lull from all rivals. No one wanted to say a word. And then suddenly they started tapping, because they were all worried. And that's where we want to be. George Graham said it, Arsenal are the team that are hated. And it's, you know what, we've just got to embrace it at the end of the day. And I want us to get as far as possible in this Champions League. I want us to win that League Cup final, and I think we can win it. I want us to go to the Etihad and get our kind of Old Trafford moment where we won the league, or a White Hart Lane moment where we won the league. and I want another one of those. I want our Etihad moment where we beat them there and we go and win the league.
We've got
Simple as that.
so many other games though. Like this, I'm even thinking about the City game. We've got so many other games that I'm way more like. We got Brighton away Wednesday. I'm like, gotta think about that. Go to Chelsea at home.
I've had time to think and digest everything, mate. We haven't had a game midweek this week, so it's been nice just to like.
League is so
go through the
tough,
fixture.
man. I don't want to play anyone in this league. Everyone's a pain in the ass to play at this point. I don't think anyone's fun. I don't know. It's very interesting. I think that we are good, and people are gonna be slightly worried, but it's just about the mental factors. I just don't worry. I've never worried about the quality of Arsenal, unlike other people who've always cried about like the winger's not good enough, this guy. But it's always down to mentality for me. Like I just worry about like can they keep it? Can the players just keep it going? Because everyone blames the fans, but it's not the fans' fault. I'm so sick of the fans getting blamed for like everything all the time. Like I don't like it's just I also hate this whole thing with Arsenal because I completely get it and I see it as well with Arsenal fans online. And Arsenal fans online are easy to wind up, they're easy to clickbait, they're easy to do this, which is why these big companies pick on us. It's just like that's why it happens. And there's always so many arguments within the Arsenal fan base itself where no one's ever happy. Like no one's ever unified unless it's like things are in the mud and everyone's unified against a loss, like in Tottenham's example.
Yeah.
Like, and it's easier to be unified in that situation because it's like you can't hide from that. But I just get like the thing that annoys me is when like certain people will say stuff on the internet which is stupid a lot of the time, but a lot of the time it's just random people who don't really have any sort of eggs in the basket and don't care. And then people just generalize a whole group of people because of what one person says. Like, I just think it's so funny how that's just accepted to be done with the with football and Arsenal. Like, it's like people in England, I've always said this. They don't like Arsenal. That's valid. They don't like the players. When Gabriel did his thing against Tottenham, where he fell over, I was like, jumped over. I was like, I would be if I weren't an Arsenal fan, I would hate that guy. I think that's a dick move. Like, I get it, and I get from a competitive standpoint, it's like it works. It's like yesterday, I was watching the Real Madrid game and Vinny got hit in the face a little bit and jumped on the floor on the left side of the pitch and won a free kick. And the commentator, I don't know who it was, Steve McManaman, I think it might have been, and he was just going on about like, oh, you don't want to see that from Vinny, that's bad. But I'm like, he just won a free kick. Like, at the end of the day,
he's
like,
been rewarded for it. Like,
yeah, well, who cares? Like, that's why he got touched in the face. He jumped on the floor. He won a free kick. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the rules. That's, in my opinion, that's more about the rules. And it's the same with the Gabriel thing. But like, from an actual standpoint, I think it shouldn't happen. I think it should just be a goal because I don't think the push is anywhere near enough to be like a foul. But in the rules, it's like, oh, two hands, so it's a push, so it has to be disallowed.
Yep.
And I get that, but I still think like the referees aren't playing the game, and they seem to have this own sort of like idea of what the game is in their head compared to what it is in reality. So I get like that's the frustration. I get the frustration of some of our players where they do all the things they we play games and they're very, I don't know, very passionate. And I get as Arsenal fans, we love that. But I get it when, at the end of the day, we don't win the league and then they're laughing at us. It's deserved. Like, I can't lie. Like, I can get why a lot of people don't like us. I just get frustrated when people blame it on the fans all the time. Like, there is so many Arsenal fans that are very delusional and stupid. Fair enough. Okay. But there is literally every top 6 club, you're going to get the same. I see all the time. After the Chelsea game against Burnley, there was a penalty shout in that game, which was not bad, not a penalty at all. And I saw hundreds of Chelsea fans going, well, this is a pen, this is a pen. That exact same thing, basically, that happened, by the way, for Martinelli against Chelsea. Not a pen then. They didn't want that pen. They didn't say that was a pen. And, like, I'm looking at that, and, like, no one's criticizing Chelsea fans for saying that. No one cares because, it's not a big deal. Like, there is things that City do I look at, and I'm like, no one cares. But if we did that, it's like, oh, that's a problem. Like, I think at the end of the day, like, it is what it is. Like, I just think the internet is crazy, and I always find it so funny where people just think that, like, when you're an Arsenal fan, they just think, oh, I don't know, they'd just be a dickhead to you because of that. And it's always that thing as well where it's like some reason nowadays, I don't know what it is with social media and people supporting football teams, but they actually think they are the football team. People genuinely think if they support Man City that they have a better mentality than people that support Arsenal in life because your team have won and Arsenal haven't. Excuse me, I'm not Arsenal and you are not Man City. That does not mean correlate. That does not correlate to you being a better person or you being better mentality or you being a much more superior being than me. That's not how it works because you support a different football team. It's just crazy how it works to me. I just think it's all so
I
weird.
love that I've managed to get you on a rant there. I love that. I'm so pleased. That's made my podcast again. Ranty Reece, always the best. Actually, staying on that though, before we finish up, do you think there will be a change in mentality from the fan base? Because I think on average, there'll be a change if we go and win, say, the Premier League. Even if we win the League Cup, I think that run-in will be different from the fan base, because all of those fans that are a bit like, oh, I'm not too sure, like, can the club do it? Can we get over the line? Are we going to bottle it? Whatever it may be. I think that side of things, it will change. But you know, like the real naysayers, the real negative people, like, do you think that will slightly change? Or do you think those people are kind of just, because this is the other thing, content creators in general, and it's a bit weird because I guess I'm a content creator now. That's odd. Like, I don't really classify myself as one, but there we go. Content creators in general, almost a lot of them fall into the trap of sticking to their opinion. So, you know, like if you say, Gyökeres isn't going to score more than 5 goals this season, they're going to do everything in their power to stand by that, even if they know that's not going to happen anymore. Like, he's on 9 goals. He's only got this many shots every game, and look how many games that he hasn't had a single shot. Yeah, I do feel that content creators in general stick, like, they will die on that hill. They will not change their mind. And I don't know, for me, I hope that changes a little bit. And I do understand it. It's been a long, long time. Like, I've gone through, you know, watching us winning doubles and the big trophies, and watching our, you know, the best players we've had at the club. And to then go through this lull and watch your Bentners and your Shamaks and your, Almunias and stuff.
I grew up on that era.
I do feel for you. Maybe we should, like, you know, you should put that on your CV, mate.
No, but that's surely better, because, like, I didn't really ever have any expectations. That's just what it was. What it was. I was so used to, like, us being the 4th best team in the country and just getting memed to being 4th, and now we get memed for being 2nd. I was like, I'd rather be 2nd than 4th. But like,
do you think though that changes? Do you think those hardened kind of negative people will start to go, oh, actually, this team is pretty good? Because the Arteta thing's weird. I think if he doesn't win one of the big trophies this season, there's going to be a really big portion of fans that are going to say, actually, maybe it is time to move him on because he can't get us over the line. And I completely understand that. And I think some of those same people, if he goes and wins the Champions League or Premier League, I think the Premier League is probably more important for him this season. Because if you win the Champions League and you don't win the Premier League, it's still going to be like, well, it was a knockout competition, you won it, but you bottled the league, and that's your bread and butter. Like, I think if he goes and wins one of those big ones, the same people go, he's an unbelievable manager. He's just, you know, ushered in a new era and we're going to dominate. Like, it's so funny, isn't it? How, like, I hate that term flip-flop, but genuinely, like, it's on a knife edge. Like, if you're looking at Arteta, you're looking at the club right now. Like, it's a really odd one, mate.
From our perspective, it is. From the fans' perspective, it is. But I've always said this. I said this the other day to someone. They were like, do you think he'll get sacked? I went, no, he's never going to get sacked. Let's just be real. He's not going to get sacked. He's going to be here until his contract ends in 3 years' time or whatever it ends. Like, he will be here until 2029, no matter what. And
he's got a really good relationship with Josh as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he basically runs the club. He does everything. Look at the changes we're doing at the back room. He's going to be the longest serving person in there. But there's also so much in it as well. Like there's so much nuance to the conversation. Like, at the end of the day, you have to look at the market. Is the market good enough for anyone that is as good as Arteta? This team is molded by Arteta at the end of the day. I know some of the players and people, you can argue with certain players that don't fit his style and he doesn't like players or whatever people say. But at the end of the day, like, if you bring another manager in, are they going to like certain players? Are they going to be using players in a certain ways? Are they going to want other players to come in? That's a big change for Arsenal to do when we've committed to this guy now for 6 years and we haven't really got to that peak yet. And like, I do think as in terms of the general fan base will have a lot, maybe not, they probably won't. I don't think a lot of people will sit there and be like, I feel like a lot of people will give Arteta credit and he deserves it because it would be our first Premier League win in such a long time. But I don't necessarily think like the complete like top gooners are going to be sitting there like loving Arteta. I think it's more going to come to the fact that everyone's going to be a lot more understanding and a lot more less anxious when we go into the future. And that's important. Like we go into next season, I'm looking at more maybe than like the Champions League or whatever. If we win this league this year, I think people will go into next year with confidence and just be like, if we do get some results that aren't the best, I'm like they are going to be a little bit more willing to give it time. I know a lot of people won't, and there's always going to be people that aren't, and there is going to be people that are just very nervous all the time and worry and think about I'm very pessimistic and worry about the things the most. And that's not even just a football thing. That's how people are just genuinely sometimes. And football is a great way to kind of show that. So that's always going to be a part. And a lot of people are always going to think that. But I think genuinely it will do a lot to do this year. And I've said this so much that like my biggest argument is that like the Champions League cup competitions, stuff can happen where I'm like, okay, whatever. Do I blame it? Because like, it's like another thing where it's like, if it happens a couple of years in a row, I get why people are talking about it. But do I really blame Arteta for us going out the FA Cup the last 3 years? Not really. We've absolutely packed in teams. We packed in Liverpool, packed in United, and we couldn't score, which is his fault. Like, is it Arteta's fault? No, I don't really think it was. I think we did fine in that game. I think the players, it was on them. And that's just one game that can happen. But I think in terms of the league, like, we have the best squad, we have the best team, so I think we should win it. And I think we are the best team. I think why watching us loads. So like I don't know, these things do happen. I will definitely be in a camp where I will be really considering like what I think about Arteta. And I literally did after the Wolves game, I spoke about it saying like I am considering his position because he is too stubborn to find changes in things that I just think he has to be better at. And I know people in the industry I've spoke to, and they've said that like when the noise gets really loud and when things get like loud, managers are very much likely to resort back to the know-how, the things that they know, the given, because they don't want to. If things are difficult, they don't want to deal with changing things up. Yeah, and I feel like at Arteta, sometimes it's like that, but sometimes he does change things up, and it takes. Arteta is not a guy that changes things up willy-nilly. He's a guy that changes things up when he's given a push, a slight push, and he does things, i.e. Saka in midfield because he played against Wigan, and he's like, okay, play that against Wolves. And then you look into like, you know, Havertz playing in midfield with that. And then like Eze, the Eze whole thing, like he couldn't really figure out a way to get Eze to play. Apparently Eze was upset he didn't play against Wolves, deservedly so, I think. And then he decided to play him against Tottenham, which was a big call up. I did not expect Eze to start in midfield in that game. I don't know if anyone did. Either. Yeah, I did not expect that to happen. So when I saw that, I was like, oh my God. And after the game, he said that he thinks he's finding ways to use Eze. And I think it is more of a goal scorer, just to say quickly. Like, I think Eze should be more used as more of a secondary striker type player rather than this like attacking midfielder, because I just don't think that's his like bread and butter. And I don't know how much that's going to work every game. That some games that probably won't if they're not like Tottenham and they give us massive gaps, but it does work in games like that. So I just think generally like Arteta is smart. Like I know he's smart, but he can be really stubborn, and there is still weaknesses into his game. I still think the squad depth issue is a weakness. I think in other years I've always said that it's been a problem, but I've given him some benefit of doubt because we haven't had great backups
in terms of rotation.
Yeah, but now, like rotation, you can't argue. We've got players. We bought 8 players in the summer. I don't care if we've got a couple of injuries. You have to find a way to make that work. So, yeah, it's a very nuanced argument, and I think a lot of people will be done with Arteta, but he's still going to be here. So it is what it is. I don't think he's going to leave.
And the good news is that no manager is infallible. You know, we've seen it. I mean, especially when you're looking at not just the manager, but the club as a whole. So, for example, like Liverpool, we were both two people that stated their transfer window and how unbalanced it was. So okay, on paper, some of these players look incredible, but where is the squad building there? What is the actual plan there? And I think there has been, you know, there's question marks over certain players that we've brought in, and I think there's elements to the squad which could be improved, but that's the case all the time. And, you know, every single team, unfortunately, has its flaws, but that is football. Before we finish up, We got Suzinho, mate. I hope you're well. Nice to have you back, especially as recording on a Thursday, not a Friday tonight. Do you guys think Leeds could scam? Sorry, I'm going to start again. I don't know what just happened. Do you think Leeds could scam any result on Saturday? And I am going to take this straight away because it is a 5:30 kickoff at Leeds. And you know what that means, Reece?
What?
Yeah.
I think it sets at like 5:30, doesn't it?
I think it's a little bit later than that now because
it's apparently it's exactly 5:30 tomorrow. It sets.
Ooh,
so it'd be
it's
like,
a Leeds win then.
Yeah,
that's it.
They'll have to hold off maybe the first 20 minutes where maybe it's like still a little light.
Can we get another communication problem? Can someone
yeah, and then it gets really dark when it's like 10 minutes in and they're struggling. Look, Leeds are like, I want to give Leeds a lot of flack. They're actually really good this season. I am super, super proud of Daniel Farke. Like, I genuinely am. He's genuinely been a very, very good manager. The underlying data for Leeds is actually very, very good. They're actually
especially since when we played them. Like, they have improved.
I mean, this whole 2026, it's basically since they played City away and they almost got a draw at the Etihad, last-minute goal, when they switched that 5 back, they've been so much better. Yeah. I think Stach, by the way, Anton Stach, is one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. That guy is like Declan Rice. He's so good. He's 6'4". He takes all their set pieces and he runs around like
some of his free kicks are unreal.
The one against Villa last week was insane. Like the guy, and it's not. He scored one against Wolves as well, and he takes corners. He got in a corner assist against Chelsea.
Could he be someone that we look at?
Someone said that to me actually the other day because I put a tweet out about him. And people were like, "Well, why don't we go in for him?" But I'm like, he's 28. Like I like him a lot. But I said in my tweet, I was like, I kind of just want, if Leeds stay up, I kind of want him biasly to kind of just stay at Leeds and be a guy there. Like, I don't know. I don't want, like,
he's got a lot of attributes, even like personality wise.
So good.
He seems like he would really fit our squad, kind of like a Marino type, if you know what I mean, like able to, I understand my role in the squad. I'm happy to do, like, he gives us a lot of options and I don't know.
He would be so good to get like, as like a maybe like cheaper-ish option to be back up to Rice.
How much do you reckon he would cost?
I'm not sure, but like Leeds might charge like 35 mil, 40 mil, maybe, which I don't think is like.
I don't think in this current climate is
it's too excessive. But obviously, like I'm saying, like I hate being like the top 6 fan who. It's like a predator to all these smaller clubs and trying to nick all their players. Like Iliman Njai is another example of this. I just want that guy to play football somewhere that aren't going to put him in a system. Like I don't. People have said to me, "Would you like him at Arsenal?" No, because it would make him play a system. I don't want that from this guy. I want this guy to be free and dribble and have fun. I don't want him to be stuck down the wing or whatever and just be like, "You've got to progress the ball." Like I get that with our play. At any top level football team, you kind of have to have that. But if he went to like the Serie A somewhere, he'd be insane. Like I just rather that for him personally. And I love that guy, so I want him to do well. I think Leeds can definitely get a result against them. They played well against City last time. The first half against us, I know we won 4-0, but that first half against us was tough, I would say. I say we played really well, but I think it was tough. We had 2 shots, 2 corners basically, and then a third one was Mendy. I'm not really counting Madueke as a shot, but I guess you can count it for free. But like, so it was a tough game, and Leeds at Ellen Road is a tough game. We made it look easy both times we played them, but everyone else has struggled. Chelsea lost and drew to them. United drew there as well. I can't remember. Oh, Liverpool drew there as well, 3-3. So look, there's always a chance Leeds get a result there, and it can happen. I think the week off for everyone's going to be better though. Like with us, I think we should go through our like start 11 quickly for the Chelsea game. Because we've had.
We're playing the day after, so bear that in mind, everyone, as well. So we'll know the result of the Man City and Leeds game. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't think our record when we're playing. Hang on. Yeah, our record when we're playing after City isn't as good as when we're playing before it this calendar year. But David Raya goes back and up. By the way, what a save he pulled off as well, because he has struggled recently. Like we talked about him kind of speeding up play and slowing down play at the wrong time, and some of his cross-claiming has been, he's unbelievable. Like he probably is the best in the league. He is unreal with cross-claiming, especially considering his size. But Like he goes straight back in, and I have no worries at all about him now.
Yeah, same. He was actually really good against Tottenham. He stepped up. I'm not really surprised. I always expect Ryan to step up. That's why I'm never too critical on him. But yeah, fantastic.
I wonder if like playing for Brentford like affects that as well, being in that London like area and understanding what it means. I don't know. Let's start with left back. We'll start on that side. Hincapié stays in.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a week breakdown. I said before we did our Tottenham thing, I said I want Hincapié to start again because I was like, he's playing really well. I don't really see the reason not to. And I genuinely think it actually might have been his best performance at left back. Fantastic. His deeper passing that was a game where we really got the best out of him because I know he can pass it from deeper areas. That was one thing that I like highlighted before he joined. So it was really good to see him doing like that great pass over, a lot of good interceptions that people won't really notice. He did 7 tackles in this game, which is the most in the game. I mean, 3 of them were in the 90th minute, which is crazy because one of them actually won us the ball for the 4th goal. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought so excellent. I also thought when his first start, I think, for the club was against Tottenham his first Premier League start for the club was against Tottenham in the league, I think, when he played centre back because we had injuries. And I'm pretty sure because I made my video like what we like how good was Hincapié like on his debut or something. So that's how I remember. So I think he's played against Tottenham twice fantastically this season. And this was a game he was much more tested in. I remember saying in the home game, they weren't tested. So it's like, how much can we judge his defensive work? This game, I thought he was fantastic. Brilliant player. I think all the worries that everyone had about him is just sailed away. And they've been making so many content around him recently. He was on TikTok live, playing some video games after the Spurs game. So guys, join live. I respect it.
Keeping on that social media theme, Gabriel, the social media king at this moment in time. Every time we play against Tottenham, I just straight away, what's Gabriel put? Because you know he's going to do it. He's going to be quite a quiet member of the squad as well, like someone who's not really into that. But Richarlison has lit a fire under him. Like every single time, he loves rubbing it in. I think he still didn't look like the Gabriel that we know he can be. I think the problem is a lot of the time we're judging him against, the number 1 player in the world in that position because he is right up there. However, I think he did look better against Tottenham than he has looked recently. So, and let's be honest, you're not gonna pull him out and put Mascara or Hincapié or Calafiori in right now. So, I think Gabriel and then Saliba obviously next to him.
Not against Chelsea, yeah, you would. I do think Gabriel. He is got to be a big reason why a lot of fans don't like us. To be fair, when I saw the tweet you made, I was just like, oh my god, you didn't even play that well. But then I was like, who cares? Like, it's not that deep at the end of the day. But I know people will take this as like a very deep thing. Yeah. And the problem is the whole Richarlison thing. I said it to my mate, like him and Richarlison are probably boys. Like they're Brazil national team teammates. They're like probably. It's probably like a little joke between them that's not that serious, but everyone on the internet takes everything so seriously, and it's like a whole thing. Because I just don't think footballers. If anyone's seen all the Fulham clips of them watching the Arsenal game and stuff, I just don't think actual footballers are that deep with others. I'm sure there's some sort of like angerment between these players, but it's like the Haaland and Gabriel thing. I don't think Haaland and Gabriel actually hate each other. It's just more of a competitive thing. As soon as the game's over, they're always talking. They're like, "Oh, how are you?" Like, I'm sure, and I think that.
They're the two types of players. They're quite old school in terms of as soon as that whistle goes, that's it. It's war. But as soon as it's done, like if you ever watch like boxers and UFC fighters, etc., like as soon as that cage door closes, it's on. I don't care if I've trained with you, if I've sparred with you, whatever. I am here to knock you out. And it seems that way between the two. But as soon as that, as soon as the bell's gone, as soon as the whistle's blown, it's all good. Like we're fine. Like they relish the challenge. I bet those two look at each other. They look at the fixture list and they go, I look forward to that game. Like there's players that I think John Terry talks about, Henry, and I think Ferdinand did as well, about how they used to look at that game and think, he's the one player kept up at night. I don't think Gabriel does that with Haaland. Maybe Saliba would probably. Maybe, but I think Gabriel looks at him and just goes, "Oh yeah, bring that on!" Like I can't wait. Like I love that. But going on to Saliba, he's been looking just brilliant. that he makes us tick. He's been like really under the radar this season. Like he's even like, Arsenal fans, rival fans, pundits. I don't think really anyone's talking about him this season, which is odd because he's got to be a shoe-in for the best 11 for Premier League. Like,
Yeah,
but I think
100%.
both of them, really, to be quite frank. But
It's funny because I think with Saliba, everyone just knows his quality. So it's like the
yeah,
thing where, like, I remember he got nominated for the last like couple of team of the years, and I've always been like, well, I think Gabriel's the better one in performance wise. But I think
yep.
this season Saliba's been our best defender, probably by like I wouldn't have said this earlier, but I think as the season's progressed and you look at it as a whole, he's been our best defender.
Yeah,
and
since
he does have a lot of
December,
credit.
Gabriel's return, he hasn't been as good. Still, like, and the thing is, his floor is so good. Like both of them, their floor is higher than most people's ceiling. Right back though, this is the one. So we know it'll most likely be Malagusto for Chelsea. And I wonder if that makes a big difference because Gyökeres doesn't seem like he's available.
No, he's injured.
Yeah,
They should just play. They might just play Hato there, which they should do. I don't really know why they're playing Gusto at left
that'd
back.
be interesting.
But they played Gusto at left back against Burnley, but I don't know if that's just because it was Burnley. I would probably play Hato.
But do you think that makes a difference with who we could actually play at right back? I presume Arteta would go with Timber because it's that kind of.
Well, it matters more about
known,
the winger, really. I don't know who eventually they play on left wing.
I would presume they're going to play Neto, Pedro, and then Palmer out on the right, and then bring Esteval on. That's what I presume they'll do. But
Esteval's not fit, I don't think. I didn't think he was fit.
I think he's a doubt. I think he could be kind of back, which is why I think he'll come on later if he's available. But
the thing is with Chelsea, they play more centrally than a lot of teams that we would play. They don't even really use their wingers and build up that much anymore. So I do like Santos and stuff are very important. I think Santos is really good. I don't know. Yeah, Timber has to play for me. Like, it's been a week off. If he can't do he's had like 7 days off now. They had 2 days off after the game. Like they've had considerable.
He came off around 60th minute, was it?
Yeah, and I also think I don't know if I'll be starting Mascara right back, to be honest. I do think his performance was really good, but even in my video, I said that I think that the game state of the game was very helpful to him. It helped him because Spurs had to come out against us a little bit more because he came on when we were 2-1 up. And at the moment he came on, we were in a period of domination, which we scored a couple of minutes later. So I do think you want Timber to kind of be a bit more of a lock it down at the start and calm things down. And then when Timber starts losing his legs, then you bring Mascara on later, which should have always been the way that we looked at the thing, always been the way we did things before. But that's what I would do, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think if the annoying thing is for Chelsea at this moment in time, I think, well, maybe not the players because they've got Europe that they're trying to go for. But I bet the fans they just want to draw. They just want to stop us winning this league, which is the most annoying thing. Midfield, Rice and Zubimendi, or do you? Again, I think it's similar to Timber. Zubimendi has had a week, so he should be rested. And I think in a game like this, it's imperative that you have someone like Zubimendi, Zubi and Rice.
Yep.
And then does Eze stay in the 10? Do you bring Odegaard back in?
No, definitely not.
Do you go rogue and do something else?
Eze should just start from now. Like, if he's really convinced that he's found a way for him to work in a system, then just continue to play him. I do think Chelsea are a way bigger threat than Tottenham. But I don't care. Like, I just want Eze. I've said this for ages. Like, Eze has to be found a way in the team. Like, there's sometimes his performances aren't as good as I want them to be, but I know he can do a lot. It's not like a Gyökeres where you almost have to convince yourself he's good sometimes, which he actually has been good. But like with Eze, the talent is clearly evidently there, and he clearly is a quite polished player in terms of what we know we can get from him. Unlike a Madueke, unlike a Gyökeres, who's a little bit less like that. So he just has to play. Also, you've got loads of injuries. I don't really know who's fit. Hopefully Havertz is back and he's on the bench. I don't know about that though. Yeah, Eze has to start in Cam for me. I think the wing positions are a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if Reece James plays at right back for them as well. I just thought because they're missing Fofana as well, aren't they? Because so I do wonder with Gyökeres and him being out, that back line for Chelsea, I think they might go and put James at right back for a little bit of experience and do that. In which case, the midfield will look very different because I've got to be honest, Reece James against us in the last game, he was incredible when he played in centre midfield. He was so good. And I think that changes what we can do. I think we could play an Eze in there. I think that gives you a better opportunity.
It's certainly a weird comp because I was so confused by that because I was like, well, of course James is going to play right back. James hasn't played midfield in like
yeah,
ages.
yeah. But I thought in terms of how they might play against us.
But like with Liam Rosinha, he's come in and Andre Santos is his boy. Andre Santos is his boy at Strasbourg. I made a video about Santos on my second channel. He's been probably Chelsea's best player, I think, since Liam Rosinha's come in.
And he's someone I remember we had a chat about, and we said, oh, there's an outside chance. If there's a player, we always buy someone from Chelsea. And ironically, we got Madueke in the end. But we both said, oh, he could be someone that you go and pinch because he was get a sniff, not a look in. And he's looked very good.
He's good enough at this level. He plays so many central passes, so much. He's just so good in these areas. They'll play like a midfield three of Caicedo, Fernandes, and Santos, where Caicedo and Santos sit deeper a bit more, and Enzo kind of just roams about like he wants to. That's what they'll do. That's what they've done literally in most of the games I've watched them recently. Reece James is a threat at right back. Their left back, obviously, Gyökeres is not there, so Gusto is going to be uncomfortable with the angles. Also, I think Gusto is a pretty limited player anyway. Hato, if he plays, cool, but he's barely played like at Chelsea at all, especially in the league. And then in centre backs, they don't have Fofana, so they're going to probably play Tosin, I would imagine, and he can't kick a ball, which is hilarious because the reason why they signed him is because this guy could kick a ball when he was at Fulham. He was like known to be like not the best one-on-one defender, but he could really get a ball out and build up well. He cannot do that at all at Chelsea. He's an absolute mess. If we press this team, this is the thing with Eze. This is the argument with him. It's like, I really do think we need to get, like, our press needs to be really good in this game because we can get at Chelsea. The best way we're going to get at them is pressing them, not sitting off like we did at the home leg in the Carabao Cup.
He has made improvements, though. Off the ball. I think he's made massive improvements. Didn't he win the ball for one of the goals as well? Am I just thinking of Hank Capier?
Well, he did for his goal for the third, technically, like a little bit.
Yeah.
He did win it back. He was kind of just in the right position rather than it being like a pressing thing. I do think that, like, I think with Gyökeres, it's not as bad because I think Gyökeres is actually very good in the press. Like when we have Eze and Jesus come on, then it looks really bad. And Madueke sometimes because all three of them just get so confused. Although I will say of all three of them, Madueke showed way more improvement than the other two throughout this year. I do worry maybe a little bit because I do think that's the way to get at Chelsea. If we don't, then João Pedro can hold the ball up. Another player I made a video about, I haven't uploaded it yet, but João Pedro's been fantastic. I think this season for Chelsea, he's a very, very good
He was really good against us last match.
Yeah, and that is a thing. So I wonder, like, I think Gyökeres and Eze have to play because of fitness anyway with other players. I don't think Odegaard should start another game for Arsenal in the league. Some people might not like that, but I just think I didn't
think I would hear you say that.
I
agree with you, but
I just think it's not on him. It's just, it kind of is if you talk about like adaptability's sake and you're like, well, he hasn't adapted. But I just think how the team need to play in this given moment, like I said, the season changes all the time. In this given moment for at least the next month, for what I'm seeing right now with the team, it won't work with him in there. That doesn't mean he can't come off the bench and be a very good player later on in games to manage the team.
Could he work, like, depending obviously on game state, but if we're trying to like hold on to a lead or something, could he play like a wing fielder role? Like genuine question, because I've never ever thought about that. But just in terms of like coming in centrally, holding up the ball, recycling it, just relieving pressure, because he is a very intelligent player. Like I think sometimes he gets a bit of a raw deal because he is more lightweight than a lot of the players. He's not as incisive. He's not as exciting a lot of the time. And I don't think he's really endeared himself to Arsenal fans a lot of the time because he just seems like almost like, and this is going to sound awful. But in terms of like an elder statesman, he's almost like the poster boy of everything that older people hate about football now. Do you know what I mean? Like he doesn't come across as like a rugged like centre midfielder like a Vieira or a Keane or anything. He's like the complete opposite to that. But like, regardless of all that stuff, anyway, I've gone off topic. Little tangent there. Could he do that kind of role? So you keep in the midfield as we've just stated, and then towards the end of the game, Odegaard, take Trossard off, for example, bring Odegaard in and just let him kind of, go into those spaces and just retain possession.
I mean, probably not. I think the only way it works is if you play the only way it works is if you play two attacking midfielders, him and Eze, and then you play two strikers, and we do like a 4-2-2 really narrow formation.
Ooh,
but like I don't really like that because we're a team that focus on wing play. So like just naturally having like our fullbacks as our wingers all the time might come some problems. I think in Cappier might be fine. I'm not sure I like Timber in that position. If it's Ben White, maybe I would a little bit more. I actually want to see Ben White and Nketiah together. I think that's a kind of a cool like mix of fullback.
Yeah,
but I will
we said
say
that for last week, didn't we?
It's just so complicated. Like I just don't think Odegaard, like he does a lot of good technical stuff, but you're not, and like a lot of good managing of the team. But you're not going to get that if he's out wide. He has to be in the middle for that to really be like a big impact. And then at that point, I'd rather just play Eze out wide, even though I know he probably isn't going to love it there, or Martinelli out wide. You'd rather just do something like that, or Madueke, who's still here, or Max Dalman. Like, I think Odegaard would be very fun.
Who, by the way, has just got an Adidas advert at the age of like 16, is he now? Like, unbelievable.
But yeah, I don't know if Saka is fit. I have no idea. I think he's okay. Is he fit enough to start this game? Maybe will they
I haven't
risk
heard
him?
anything.
That's different. That's something I don't know. If he isn't, though, Madueke will just come in. That's just an easy, like, Madueke will start if he's not. Saka will start if he is. On the left, I would love... The thing is, I don't want Martinelli to play in the Prem after that Wolves game for at least a couple of weeks. That pissed me off a lot. And I think he needs to hold that and wait for Mansfield.
With you on that, mate.
I don't think Trossard was that bad against Tottenham. He was probably one of the least effective attackers. But also sometimes when you've got Saka in Saka mode, where he is just taken over from a creative and just absolute like beast perspective, then it is just hard for other players to kind of like do a lot. Like I do think that Saka was everywhere in that game against Tottenham. He was so
Trossard just kind of played his role.
Yeah.
Because, and if you look at it, like the attack in general was very functional, especially at the end of that game. Like Eze looked really good, Gyökeres looked really good, Saka looked really good. Even like Nketiah in attacking positions looked really good. So you're looking at it going, oh, this is really working. And I think like Zubimendi, Trossard, they almost went, all right, you lot carry on. We'll just keep it moving and facilitate all of you, because you can't have. Like, it's very rare that you have every single player in 11 have an actually outstanding game. So I think he just kind of did what was needed, like helped us out really. But there we go.
Did you? I think yeah. So would you go for Trossard on the left?
I think I would. Yeah. I don't. The only way I might change this is, say, if Saka is injured. Part of me thinks maybe you could play Eze out on the left and put Odegaard as to facilitate Madueke out on the right. That could be an option if that, because I do wonder how it would look with Eze, Madueke. They're quite like high risk players, especially you got Gyökeres as well. So it's like
safer player.
Oh my God! Imagine like them throwing in Mosquera as well. Jesus,
I
could be chaos. It could be great. But
I don't think we're ever going to see Eze in left wing again. You know?
No,
and
I
also,
don't.
To end this on, there's big leaks that have come out that Arsenal are leading the race to sign Anthony Gordon in the summer. So if that happens, I definitely don't see us putting Eze out the left wing.
How do you feel about that? Like
Gordon could also play up front. He's played up front for half of the season.
He's such an interesting player because he'll command a big fee, and that's what I worry about.
Apparently, it's 75 mil. The rumors, which is I would say makes sense. I would say.
Yeah, kind of what I
I know it
expect.
is expensive, but he's Prem, and it's just what happens.
I mean, he's
It's so
Prem
funny because
ready.
he's
I'm
coming
going to
off
do
such
that.
a. He's been so bad this season, so a lot of people will use this season as like a
Isn't he
almost.
Newcastle's top scorer ever in the Champions League now?
Well, he might be. He's the second top
Maybe in
goal
one
scorer.
campaign. Maybe that's what it is.
I'm pretty sure he's the second top goals. Yeah, he's the second top goal scorer in the Champions League at all. But you know,
Then when you score like
he's got 10 goals. He's got 5 penalties. Like, and he's stat padded against Karabakh. Like, I'm looking at this guy.
Hey,
like,
we'll take it.
Bro,
if we got him, we could be such a scammy team, couldn't we?
It's so stupid that counts in the actual Champions League player stats because they play 2 extra games. Like, what? He just scored 4 goals, and we won't ever get them games back. It's like it's not like they got further in the competition; they were worse. So I do find it funny.
That's interesting.
He has actually.
Maybe they should do it like. Was it the World Cup that? I don't know if they still do this. I'm sure they used to have like stats for the knockout phase and then stats for the group phase and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if that still happens now.
It's so
every
weird
4
with
years,
Gordon because I do think Gordon's it's been a little bit better over the last couple of months. Maybe not goals and output wise, but I think his general performances have been a bit better. You know, I feel like Newcastle. It's such a hard thing quickly on him because it's like people will judge him because he's had a bad year, but then they will forget that he was incredible last year. So it's like, well, where do you find that balance? What is the level he actually is at? Also, Newcastle going forward this year have been an absolute mess. They're playing Voltmarder in central midfield. They're playing him in central midfield for 3 games in a row, and they play Gordon up front.
They looked at it and went, Joe Linton worked out well. Yeah. We'll just do it again.
And then they realised that actually they've got a 6'7" giant who can't win a header against anyone. He can't win a header. And so it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter. He's like, your Voltmarder is not being harsh because I like Voltmarder a lot. I do. But he is just a worse version of Havertz. They play the exact same. He is just a worse version of Havertz. Maybe he'll get better. He is young, but he is at the moment a worse version of Havertz. Which is why I like him.
If they had Visser playing, and they started building up a rapport, I think that could be really good for him. But yeah,
the whole Visser thing, that is such a good point. Like Visser came in, he was injured for 5 months, and then now fitness is just absolutely cooked. So it's like they can't get him to that level, and it's like, yeah, it's so true. I would like Gordon. Like, is it the left winger that everyone's gonna like? No. Are people gonna complain? Yeah. Do I know what left winger I would want? No. So
and that's the thing, isn't it?
It's one of the things that you just make a decision and I'll analyze it and decide then. Because I just don't know. Like people talk about Barcola and I get it, but I just don't think Barcola is going to be available. He plays for PSG. Like PSG, he is French and he is from PSG. Is he ever going to leave? It's like the whole Italian thing. They don't leave the Serie A. I doubt it's going to happen, and it'll be way too expensive for someone that I still think is so raw that I think Arsenal fans will get so frustrated. I don't think Gordon is anywhere near as raw as him.
I think as well, people forget, I just checked, because I wasn't too sure. I think he's 25.
Yeah.
Which is, I quite often look at him and think he must be 27, 28, but he's not. He's just had a lot of experience,
He's literally my age. He's literally born 4 months before me. His birthday was 2 days ago.
Rub it in.
So well, that's what I'm saying. It's actually quite funny. We talk about all the players in Arsenal's team are basically my age. Like Saka, Martinelli, Timber, Hincapié. They're all my age. Like the exact same.
That's really weird, isn't it?
Well, it's so funny because the things that they talk about in interviews, I'm like, I relate. Because I'm just the same age as them. It's so funny.
I have to Google them. No, I mean, yeah, I think that we probably, I would guess that'll be the team that Arteta kind of goes for as well. I think for this one, I say that, but then how many times have we gone through again? I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to do, and then he just throws a curveball.
Yeah,
I didn't think Eze was going to play against Spurs. I really didn't.
No, it's just one little curveball, isn't it? He never changed. That doesn't force changes. It's just we'll put this guy in. Oh, well, Norgard started in the Prem. What? No, that would never happen. That's he wouldn't even get a minute in the Prem. I'm not bringing him on. Super Venti, you got to keep running. No, but we're 4-1 up. No.
I wonder if it's a running joke and Arteta's like, he puts up around the training ground, around the centre. He's just putting up lineups with Norgard in it, and he's like, Oh no, sorry. Little cross out, just constant. Oh.
I saw like there was a guy who filmed right behind the Arsenal bench. Like he's got loads of TikToks. He filmed like loads of the game, and he was literally sitting right behind Norgay. And Norgay's just like sitting there. And I was like, when this guy's just there, he's having a free view. I was like, he's just never gonna get on the pitch, and he knows it. Like, so stupid.
At least he'll get a Premier League medal if we win it, though.
Well, he needs to play one more game. He's only got 4 games.
Oh, does it work on that? Oh,
yeah, he has to play 5 games. Well, that's what I actually want to end on this point because I was going to say this before, but Max Dowman, if he's got 2 Premier League appearances, I think so far, 2 or 3. If he gets 5, he'll be the youngest ever player to ever get a medal. I think currently the youngest ever player to get a medal was Phil Foden at I think he was 17 and he got a medal because he played about 5 games for Man City in 2018. Before that, it was Gael Clichy because he got one in 2003 or 2004 with us when he was like 18. So he was the one before. Yep. But if Max Dowman gets it, it'll be 16. It'll be the youngest by like over a year to ever get a Premier League medal. So that's my dream, to get Max Dowman a medal. Come on, guys, do it.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
End of the season, bring him on. I mean, he's good enough. Bring him on.
I mean, according to Wikipedia, which is like the worst, I don't think I've ever used Wikipedia before for checking stats. Apparently, he's got 2 appearances so far. But, mate, it's not out of the realms of possibility, isn't it? So.
No, definitely not. Like, yeah, if he's fit and we have a couple of injuries to some attacking players, he'll be on that bench and they'll be bringing him on. We know that they convinced of him.
And we'll finish off with this. So from Just Tom, thanks, mate. Don't worry, Forder. I'm sure Arteta wears a dry robe around the training grounds. Bloody bad, do. I can't be the only one. Do you know what? Alex Moneypenny from the Different Knock said to me, and I don't know if it was like, it was like maybe like the most backhanded compliment. And I was like, are you know, when you're like, are you slating me? Are you being nice? I can't really make it out. He said to me, mate, I bet you would be a top-notch Sunday League manager. It's like, is that you trying to say like you really need to go back and do your next coaching badge? Or is that him being like, no, I think you'd actually be like class in that? I don't know. Let me know in the comments, guys. And like, hype, and subscribe, because hype is apparently a thing now, Reece. Make sure you go find Reece on Twitter, on YouTube. Mate, what's your handle? Where can they find you?
Woklz YT on Twitter, Woklz Football on YouTube. You know, it is.
And he is pumping out the content, especially even Football Manager content. What's your FM on? Is that Woklz FM?
Yep.
See, I mean, yeah, Fez. At least it's on brand, mate. It's easy to find. Yeah. Don't forget, you can find me on Twitter under Forder on Footy and on Instagram and TikTok. We won't be live tomorrow, obviously. This is an impromptu change as Reece is going away. But there will be a preview for the Chelsea game. There will most likely be a predicted 11 and a reaction at some point when I am not doing my dad duties, because, you know, the family comes first. Hope you're all well. Take care, guys. Remember, you guys know football. We just talk it.